trafficking is, have you seen it, and how much have you seen it in your community? And we asked police departments, we asked folks who work with children in a variety of capacities, so we had some good data to suggest, hey, this is happening everywhere in Tennessee. We followed that up in 2013 with a study that said, where is this happening specifically? And what we found is that the advent of technology, the internet, cell phones, has made this crime really, really prevalent in communities across our state. And from there, we were able to say, what do we do to stop it? So long story long.
Where were the hot spots in Tennessee?
Everywhere. Really, that was what we found in these studies, is that it's happening in big cities, small towns, because it looks like a lot of different things, right? So it might look like a guy thumbing through his cell phone while he's sitting at work and arranging for a quote-unquote date on his way home to his wife and kids. Or it might look like a mom who can't settle her drug debt with her dealer, so she sends her 13, 14-year-old daughter to her dealer to settle the debt that way. That's human trafficking under the laws here in Tennessee. It looks like a lot of different things. And so in communities across our state, it can present in a variety of ways.
So awareness is the first step, and what are you doing to get the word out so that people can look for those warning signs or to help a neighbor?
Yeah, and what we did with that is in 2014 we launched ithastostop.com, which is our one-stop resource for the state of Tennessee centered on human trafficking. We have links to our research, we have links to the relevant laws here in Tennessee, but most importantly, we have the warning signs built out across the board for folks so that they can see what this might look like. And then we also have information for the Tennessee Human Trafficking Hotline, which should be your point of contact if you suspect someone may be a victim of human trafficking.
And we'll share that number in just a moment, but let's talk about those warning signs, especially for parents who may be listening. What should they be on the lookout for?
Right, so it might just be something that doesn't sit quite right in the pit of your stomach, and you'll know it when you see it 9 times out of 10. It might be an interesting dynamic between a girl who might be 13, 14 years old, and a man who looks a little too old. You know, a relationship that doesn't feel quite right. She may be dressed in ways that are provocative or not appropriate for the season. So if you're seeing a 14-year-old walking through a mall with a much older man in the dead of winter and she's wearing spaghetti straps and seems afraid of him, that might be something that you would say, I don't know, something doesn't seem quite right about this.
And is that enough to call the police right away, or are there other channels you should call?
Well, you can call the Human Trafficking Hotline. And again, that would be an important number for folks to keep in their phone. It's 1-855-55-TNHTH. It's a good number to just sort of go ahead and tuck in your phone.
Let's get that number one more time.
Yeah, 1-855-55-TNHTH. Tennessee Human Trafficking Hotline. And if it's a situation where someone at TBI, because that hotline rings right into TBI headquarters, if someone on the other end of the phone at TBI takes your information and says, we need to call police, we'll call police and get them to your location as soon as possible.
And is this something, too, that parents, stalking their children's social media sites, checking that, making sure some of these friends they're talking to online are really friends and not adults?
Right, and that's the thing to keep in mind, too, is the advent of technology has not only made this crime more prevalent, but it has also made more children susceptible to falling victim to traffickers. What will happen oftentimes is these individuals will strike up conversations on one app, and then they'll want to move that conversation to a different app, and then it becomes an issue of, well, let's meet in person. So that can be something that comes into play. This can also look like, I have a 16-year-old daughter, let's say, and she has a 20-year-old boyfriend. And then all of a sudden, the relationship sours a little bit. He says, well, if you love me, then you'll go do this with my friend here. There could be a lot of manipulation here. A lot of dynamics come into play with these relationships where they can turn south and these kids can find themselves in situations that they're just not equipped to handle.
So awareness, obviously, so important, but what is law enforcement doing to train police officers or maybe social service agencies, training social workers, teachers to identify some of these signs? Are those kind of efforts underway?
Huge priority. Several years ago, the State General Assembly gave TBI funding for 4 agent positions solely dedicated to investigating human trafficking, and along with that came TBI's commitment that we would train all of the state's law enforcement officers. So mandatory. And so this has really been a shift in law enforcement where we're encouraging folks to, if you see it and it presents like prostitution, you might need to pump the brakes a little bit and ask some questions because this might actually be a trafficking situation. So we're just encouraging law enforcement to think a little bit differently. It's not dissimilar to what we saw with domestic violence, 30 years ago.
And what is the nonprofit world here in Tennessee doing to help? Because obviously you have these victims. What's their outlook for recovery?
Every victim has a unique set of needs and a unique set of issues. And we are blessed in this state to have some incredible nonprofits who are able to really enter into those difficult situations and start meeting needs, be it counseling, be it substance abuse, be it a driver's license, be it housing, clothing, whatever those needs are. So we work really closely with the Tennessee Anti-Slavery Alliance, and specifically here in Middle Tennessee and Slavery Tennessee, to provide a lot of those unique needs that survivors have. We firmly realize at TBI